when she walked through that door. The most beautiful girl I'd ever seen before. Sea green eyes and long blonde hair, cool smooth smile and didn't have care. I don't know why, but she walked my way. I was scared to death, but I was ready to play. Love at first sight sets the spirit free. I felt the dark clouds part, I heard the angels sing. My heart caught fire and my soul can fly. That's when I knew I had to make her mine.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the big show. My name is Mickey and this is Mickey in the Middle, the quintessential show for middle Americans, where all middle Americans are welcome. It doesn't matter where you've been or where you go. It just matters that you're here right now. Now, we do not pay attention to the 20% of the crazies on the left or the 20% of the crazies on the right. We're just worried about the 60% of the sane people in the middle that can actually have a conversation. And I have to admit, I am more and more proud of you every single day. More people are ditching the Democrat and Republican moniker, becoming independents, becoming libertarians, becoming anything other than that. The only thing I need to do in the future is not vote for your entrenched politician. Just don't do it. It's absolutely crazy the way that we keep sending the same people up to Congress and we expect to get a different result. We're not going to get a different result because what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. But here's what the simple fact of the matter is. If you send your politician back, like I got, let's see, Tom Cotton and, what's that other guy's name I never vote for? So anyway, we got two senators up there and we got congressmen, and I got a card around here with everybody's name on it. Is this their names? I don't have their names. Look, here's the deal. Don't vote for your people that are currently in Congress, because if you vote for the people that you normally send, that you normally want to go to Congress, vote for anybody but them. Vote for anybody except for them. So anyway, welcome to the big show. Today's tax day, everybody. So we're going to be talking about taxes. It's everybody's favorite holiday. How many days did you have to work this year just to pay your taxes? That is absolutely insane. So let's do this first. Let's talk about we the people of the United States of America. In order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessing of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish the Constitution of the United States of America. Hoo-wah! That is what I'm talking about right there. You are sharing the planet with 8,287,480,130 over right now. And the United States of America is $39 trillion. Come on, everybody. We can get to 40. Come on. We can do it. We can do it. We can get to $40 trillion in debt. It's all play money anyway. It's all play money. It's all in our mind. There's our GDP, the gross domestic product for the entire world is like $300 trillion. That's a lot of money. I just want to let you know it's a lot of money. The fact that we owe 39 billion, wait a minute, that's million, 39 trillion. Oh my gosh, that's still John Boozman. Thank you very much. Logan Calcadera, thank you very much. I cannot tell you, hey, Logan, you're the first one to comment today, so thank you very much. I appreciate that. So, John Boozman, Boozman. Anyway, he used to be a dentist. Then he got in. Now we can't get rid of him. He said he was going to quit last time, but then he ran again. So my theory on that is because Sarah Huckabee Sanders is now the governor of Arkansas, he will retire before the end of his term so that Sarah Huckabee Sanders can nominate somebody without a vote to go and represent Arkansas in the Senate. And then when they are entrenched in the Senate and they become known across the state of Arkansas, then 97% of incumbents are reelected to Congress. Did you know that 97% of incumbents that run are reelected to Congress? So that means that Sarah Huckabee Sanders and John Boozman cut a deal. This is speculative. I don't want to cause any consternation with anybody. This is the way that I believe that it is because I've seen it. I've seen it in the homeowners association. I've seen it in local government. I've seen it in big time politics. I've seen it in corporate boards where before the people get to vote, somebody resigns. They're put in they put a favorite in place. That favorite gets to be known by the community. They have face recognition. They get to use the senator's office to send out messages and to communicate with the people. And they get used federal funding in order to do that in the name of communicating with constituents. And when that person gets known, they're considered not the incumbent, because an incumbent is somebody who was probably previously elected, but they're sitting in the seat so they can be considered an incumbent. And 97% of incumbents and people that are in the seats get reelected. So that's what's going on with Boozman. Bozeman, not Boozman, Bozeman. So here's what the deal is with our politicians. Don't vote for any of them. I'm not going to vote for Cotton. Telling you right now, I'm not going to vote for Cotton. I'm not going to vote for Boozman. I'm not going to vote for the guy that never comes to Cabot because he's always up in a larger city. He's always up in Searcy and those places. So yeah, I'm not voting for my congressman again or my two senators. So how about that? I got that going for me. So all right. So what are we talking about today? Today is tax day. Woo! I'm telling you what, I got to file an extension before midnight. So as soon as I get off of this, I'm going to get on the IRS page. I'm going to download that and I'm going to figure out how to file an extension. I probably can't do it myself. I'll probably have to call somebody tomorrow and go, hey, can you file me an extension real quick? But that's the way that it goes. So let's talk about taxes. All right. So what started this? Last week I was watching something and it started triggering things in my brain about the amount of taxes that we have in our country. So I wrote something down. I didn't write something down. I texted it because I was driving my truck. And I don't listen to any music. I very rarely listen to a podcast, but I don't listen to any news radio anymore. I don't listen to any music. I don't know what happened. Music is still great. Music is still one of my greatest loves. But for some reason, I just don't listen to it in the car anymore. I don't know why. But I do think a lot in the car. So I'm highly encouraging everybody to turn off your radio so you can think about stuff in your car. When you start thinking about stuff, I knew the tax day was coming up. I'm getting a new accountant this year because I'm opening up a business for my Flick Killer board game and for the Poker Run app, which I hope is going to take off like gangbusters later this year. Because I have a new accountant, I had to kind of explain my last tax situation, and that didn't go well. So the state of Arkansas still owes me a lot of money from 2024, and we're trying to work through that. But they still haven't paid me that. But while I was thinking about the tax situation, I wrote a note to myself, and it goes something like this. Taxation actually equals slavery. Taxation equals slavery because the government says that you owe me money off of your labor. Right? Isn't that what they did in slavery? You owe me money off of your labor. As a matter of fact, in slavery, they took 100% of the income derived from the labor of everyone that was a slave. Now, this has been going on since beginning of time. So, slave comes from the word Slav, which is from the Slavic Nordic countries, and they were enslaved by the kings and queens across Europe. And then indentured servitude and the fiefdom has been implemented. We all knew about all of the peasants that had to work the fields for the lords and the ladies and the kings and the queens and the emperors. And the emperors and the lords and the ladies and the kings and the queens and the whoever was in charge took all of the money and they went in and at the time they didn't have necessarily money, but they had produce and they had the ability to produce things. So they would go in and they would take all the food and they would take all the livestock and they would take children and they would take wives and they would take boys and men and they would conscript them into fighting their wars or to working their fields or building their castles or doing. So slavery has been around forever and ever and ever. And what I'm talking about specifically here is the lords and the ladies and the people that are in charge of the United States of America taking your labor in the form of money. And you don't even have a choice anymore. See, you don't have a choice. And I'm going to run by the taxes that we have here in just a second. But I want to read the rest of you this so that everybody understands where we're starting. Oh, hey, look here. I'm going to text my daughter real quick because my daughter's been working really, really hard. Hey, Sydney, I'm doing my show, Mickey in the Middle. I just want to let you know I love you. And the vet visit went not as good as expected because we came home with a broken wing, but now I know what to do. So anyway, I love you. Have a great night. Talk to you in a little bit. There you go. So back to the note. All right. Taxation actually equals slavery because the government says that you owe me money off of your labor. The question is, how much slavery do they actually get from you? Because if they say that they're going to tax you 10%, that means that you will work and give them money for 10% of your time, effort, and labor. The time that they could attach to that is 50%. And that's what some people are advocating for the richest people. Tax them at 50%, tax them at 70%, tax them at 90%. We had a 90% taxation rate for rich people at one time in our country. They're saying that they're going to tax you and enslave you 50% of the time if you're giving them 50% of your income from your labor. And labor does not mean toiling away in the fields or hammering nails. It means it can be intellectual property. It can be the way that you think. It can be the way that you manage. It can be any way that you derive income. So when you go to work, if you're in a small business, if you work for a business, if you do all of the things that you do to derive income, and we're going to get to the IRS in a minute, whatever you do to derive income, then you are liable for that to the United States government. And if you don't pay that, they will come out and they will civil forfeiture you into giving up your house and giving up your cars and giving up your bank tax. They're coming after your shit. And I want you to understand that. Your government needs money to operate. And I get that they need money to operate. There's two questions that I have. Number one, how much money do you want from me and everybody else? And is it fair across the board? And then what are you spending my money on? Because the shit that they're spending their money on right now is BS. It's a bunch of crap. They're taking all of our money and they're giving it to non-governmental agencies to organize getting rid of the homeless problem, getting rid of the drug problem, saving wildlife, saving the farmers, saving oil and gas, you name it, the government's trying to save it, and they take your money and they give it to other people, specifically the people that have non-governmental organizations, NGOs, and then the subsidies for all of the things. If you look for the subsidies for fish, for wildlife, for game, for farmers, for logistics, for gas, for oil, for wind farms, for hydroelectric, for solar energy, for saving the planets, you would not believe where your money is going. It's going homeless. It's going to help drug addicts. I wanted to help all of the infrastructure for the country. Defense of the country. International representing us on stage. And states handle everything else. States need to stop taking our damn money. It's absolutely crazy and criminal. But they could do that. They could go, hey, you know what? We're going to charge everybody 50% of how much you make. They can charge you whatever they want. Do you know that that's why we went to war with George? If you look at this is the Constitution of the United States of America. This does not have I need to get a copy of the Declaration of Independence. Do I have the copy of the Declaration of Independence? I might have the copy of the Declaration of Independence around here somewhere, but that's what we were talking about with George. We were like, George, you're not treating us very nice. You're overtaxing us. You're putting your soldiers in our houses. You are not a very good keeper of the whale. And matter of fact, we are going to throw tea in the Boston Harbor, and we're going to resist, and we're going to throw you off like a monkey off our back, because they were overtaxing the people of the United States, and we had a revolution about it. And now it's not about the amount of money that I'm sending to them. It's about what the hell they do with it. It's BS. It's a bunch of crap. I know that I have to send them some money, and I'm willing to send them some money. I'm not saying that I don't want to send them any money, but I want to know whether it's fair across the board. A flat tax would be fair, right? So if you make $1,000 and you, as a 10% tax on everybody, you owe them $1,000. So if you make $1,000, you owe them $100. If you make $10,000, you owe them $1,000. If you make $100,000, you owe them $10,000. If you make $1 million, you owe them $10,000. Right? $1 million, they owe $100,000. That's a progressive tax. The more you make, the more you pay. Now, that number might be 10, 15, 20%, but everybody should be paying something. But this whole idea is because you make more money, you owe them more because you're now paying your fair share. Fuck that. I'm just a human, just like everybody else. Look at this. I got hair. I got eyeballs. I got ears. I don't have anything special. I don't have anything special. Why do I have to pay more money? Because I make more money. I'm smarter than other people. I'm dumber than other people. But just because I'm dumber than other people and other people make more money doesn't mean that I expect them to pay more than I do. Make it a flat tax across the board. That way, nobody's being enslaved at a greater rate than everybody else. Where's my phone? What do I do with my phone? There's my phone. I hope that I'm making sense. All right, here you go. Basically, if they tax you at 50% of the time, if they tax you at 50% rate, they're enslaving you 50% of your time. I want you to think about that. Do you want to be a slave? Do you want to be any portion of a slave? Because that's what they're doing. They're saying, because you work, because you make income, you are now a slave. You owe us this much. If it's 20%, 10%, 30%, 40%, That's the percentage of a slave that you are. It doesn't matter whether it's intellectual or physical or just showing up at work. If they take any percentage, that means that they have agreed that is how much of your labor that they want. That's crazy. So let's talk about the taxes. Where's my list of taxes? Let's start off at the top. Today's income tax day. If you haven't filed an extension and haven't gotten your taxes done, make sure you get your taxes done. Hello, Carolyn Greg's Ledger. How you doing? Great to see you out and about there, right? So income tax. That's where you take all the money that you have made in the year and then you report it to the government. Although everybody that was supposed to give you money at more than $400 was supposed to send you a 1099 or a W-2, and then you take the W-2, the 1099s, you add them up, and that's what your income for the year is. Then you take your interest, and then you take all of your capital gains and all the stuff you made in the stock market or all of the stuff that you made, and you add it all together, and that's your income for the year. So they're not only enslaving you, but they're taxing the amount of money that you make in other ways, shapes, and forms, right? So income tax. And then they come up with a number. Now, they already know how much you owe. Now, the game is to figure out how many deductions, because you are a sucker and you pay higher rates so that you can get the discounts, right? What you're doing is you're begging for your money back. I want you to think about income tax. When you go to fill out the income tax form, what you're doing is you are literally begging them for your money back. That's insulting. It's degrading. It's just beyond the pale. Oh, what else can I think of that would get me more money back? Oh, I have a child. I get money because I have a child. I get my own money back because I have a child. I get some money back because I bought a house. I get some money back because I started a small business and I have an office in my house. How many things do you have to check off so that you can beg to get your money back? You're not qualifying for those things. Because if you don't put it down, you don't get it back. That means that you have to ask the government for your own money back. Right? You are not getting government money. You're getting your own money. So you're begging for your money back. You're not claiming an exemption. You're not claiming anything else. You've got to beg for your money back, because if you don't put it on the form, you're not going to get the money. Oh, please, sir, a little more pudding. Oliver Twist. I don't know what the line. I never saw the movie. All right, and then there's sales tax. Who doesn't love sales tax? The good thing is right now the federal government is not in the sales tax business, I don't think. They might be in the sales tax business, but I don't know about it. Tariffs are also taxes, but those are taxes on businesses that are bringing things into the United States of America. I'm going to get to tariffs later. I might not talk about them at all, but let's not get bogged down by tariffs. Property taxes. This is a big one. If you owe property taxes to the government, whether it's state government or federal government, if you owe property taxes, do you actually own the land? Do you own the house? Do you own the car? Do you own the boat? Do you own anything? If you have property and you owe the government every single year on that, do you ever own it, or are you just leasing it for the time being, as long as the government allows you to keep the property? Because you're not keeping anything if you got to pay for it in perpetuity. If you have to pay in perpetuity, which means basically forever, if you have to pay in perpetuity forever, that means that you don't own shit. I do not have to pay property taxes on my shirt or my pants or my shoes. Thank God. Because then the government would have to come and get them because I'm not paying property taxes on them. And I want you to imagine this. All of your cars, all of your boats, all of your trailers, all of your everything that you're paying property tax on, you don't own it. So that means that with your income, they're enslaving you. And with property tax, you own nothing. How righteous is your government? I don't care whether it's federal government or state government or local government or city government, county government. How righteous are they if they are taking your slave labor and taking your possessions that you have bought and paid for them? I want you to imagine that. If you buy something, you're not buying it for yourself. You've bought it for the government. How about that? That's why I'm mad about taxes. I'm going to pay my taxes, but it doesn't mean I'm not mad about it. Estate taxes. When I die, they're going to come and get half of my shit and take it away from my daughter. How about that? Yeah, because that's the way that it is. I don't have a trust. They're going to take half of my money. Is that crazy? Gift taxes. If you give somebody money, if you give your daughter, your son, your next door neighbor, if you give somebody money, you owe taxes on that. Is that crazy? Now, not $5, not $10, right? So it's larger sums of money. But if you give somebody $100,000 to help them buy a house, you're supposed to owe, it's a gift tax. If you give somebody a boat or an airplane, you can't give it to them as a gift. They take the money for that. Sin taxes. Taxes on alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, pharmaceuticals, prostitution. Severance tax. They have something called severance tax. I don't know what that qualifies as. Death tax. That's the same thing as an estate tax. Capital gains tax. You want to go and invest money and you want to make money by using your money to make money or buying into a company that grows and you have a gain on what you have invested money in, whether it's your house, whether it's a boat, whether it's a car, whether it's stocks, whether it's bonds, whether it's anything that's out there. If you gain off of that and that becomes back to you in the form of money, cash, property, you own money on that. You owe the government capital gains tax. And then there's corporate tax, because corporations pay corporate taxes to the state in order for them to stay alive. It's crazy. I'm telling you what. This is why I have a problem. This is why I have a problem. Like I said, how much are you taking from me and everybody else, and is it fair? And what are you spending my money on? Because you're spending my money on BS stuff. Absolutely crazy. I don't trust the IRS. I listened to a report the other day about the IRS using AI technology to look at your taxes, determine the square footage of your house, determine whether you have the appropriate income in order to claim an office space. And I'm telling you right now, if I am ever audited, they're probably going to come after me. And they're going to go, you're claiming too much room in your house. Well, I do Mickey in the Middle, and I make money off of Mickey in the Middle. Not much. It's a teeny tiny little bit. It's a few cents here and a few cents there, but I've been trying to get this. I've been trying to do Mickey in the Middle on all the platforms for 5 years, never take off. I'm never going to be nothing. But I've been trying. I've been trying to meet the minimum threshold for YouTube, the minimum threshold Facebook. I've been doing this since COVID. So I've been doing this for 5 years, 6 years. And it's never taken off. Now they're going to tell you that you're not making enough money and you can't claim your office. Because the IRS is using AI to say how much you made from your business and whether it's appropriate to have your office the way in my dining set up where I have a laser. So I cups and I can make my board game. Flick Killer. By the way, it's going to be coming out soon. I'll have an Etsy store. But when I do that, are they going to tell me that I'm not allowed to claim my dining room, which I do not dine in? I do not use anything in my dining room except for my laser and assembling of boards. And I got an entire bedroom that is downstairs that is dedicated to all of my 3D printing machines that I use in order to make games. So they're going to tell you how many miles, going to adjust your miles and how many that is appropriate for your business and the income that you make and whether it's appropriate, whether you have the appropriate mileage claimed, about the number of meals you take, about the clothes you wear, about the equipment that you have in your business. The IRS is going to use AI to figure out whether you're cheating on your taxes or not. You remember why they hired those 70,000 IRS agents, 70,000 or 80,000 IRS agents? Because it's for the rich people. No, it's not. Still, they can come after you. There's not enough rich people. You can take one IRS agent and assign them to 10 rich people. And then the rest of those, that means that's going to cover like 10,000 IRS agents. If you take all the millionaires and billionaires and you sign them to 10 each, and you just go across the country and you go, okay, you guys got 100 millionaires and billionaires. Everybody else is coming after me and you. Just saying, tax day sucks. So, well, what else did I want to say? So, here's to the IRS. Thank you very much for collecting money for them to waste on different programs and pet projects and give them to NGOs that don't use it. Because your government takes tax money, gives it to NGOs that spend all of the tax money in salaries and in buildings, and they pay exorbitant amount for the real estate just to run the organization. And by the time that they get done running all of their administrative stuff, there's no money to take care of the homeless. There's no money to feed kids. There's no money for farmers. There's no money for agriculture. There's no money for everything else because it's all going to the NGOs. That's why I don't give money to anybody anymore. So I am sorry. I am complaining about this. I'm more than willing, more than happy to pay taxes. I am. And it's the Congress's job to set us up in taxes, right? So that's Article 1 of the Constitution of the United States, which covers the legislative branch. They set up all of our taxes. That's all from the government and then all from the state. And they set up the rest of our taxes. That's the tax structure that we live in. Now, that's all right. I'm fine and I'm cool with that because I expect to pay taxes because I understand we have police departments, fire departments. We have to have a national military. We have to have a national defense. We have to have international relations. We have to have all of the things that are listed in Article 1 of the Constitution that Congress has to take care of. And then they want more money for the Department of Education and the Department of Commerce and the Department of this, that, and the other thing. So now we got to pay all those bills that are not even in the Constitution. But I understand why we have all those things, and I understand that we have to pay for them. What I don't understand is how the system cannot be any more unfair because the people that don't understand the system and can't afford a tax attorney or an accountant, how are they supposed to keep up with it when the tax code is this damn thick and written in legalese that most of us don't even understand? It's not fair, and they waste our money. And that's what the topic of this show is. Taxes. It's not fair, and they waste our money. So with that being said, that's the show. You guys have a great night. This has been Mickey in the Middle, the quintessential show for Middle Americans, where all Middle Americans are welcome. We do this every single Wednesday night That's not correct. We do it most Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Central, right here where I am, right where there you are. Remember to like, share, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bells, and do all that stuff. That way you get notified whenever I come on. And if you share it, just tell everybody I might be a little bit of crazy, but I'm trying the best I can. So you guys have a great night. I love you. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time right here on Mickey in the Middle.